How's it going? So lads, on December 16th, 2023, Devas Battlegrounds released to the public. In this game, you'll have access to 6 weapons that you can get through numerous ways. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing off all 6 weapons, all of their abilities, and it's gonna be an awesome time. Huge shout out to Super Cham Studio, I think his username is on Discord. He actually already made a short about this, so I'll drop his short link down below in the description if you guys wanna go show some love. So that currently in Devas Battlegrounds, there are 6 weapons: the bow, the dagger, the greatsword, the ice staff, the fire staff, and the scythe. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the greatsword and the bow. This greatsword specifically is called the Dynasty Sword. The stats don't matter, everything's balanced. It's a Battlegrounds game. The abilities that you will have to use for the greatsword are Challenge, Skyrend Strike, and Sonic Impulse. These abilities are very cool. Challenge is a bit of a leap ability, so you can use this ability to kind of leap in any direction that you want to. So if I, for instance, check somebody and they are stunned or stuck in like one area, I can press the ability, and also destroys the environment too. How cool is that? And it will do a lot of damage. The Skyrend Strike is kind of similar to the challenge ability, except instead of you leaping and jumping, you just simply jump up in the air and do a smash. Also destroys the environment as well, like barrels and everything like that. So if you wanted to check somebody and do like a lot of damage, you could do the Q ability, the E ability, and chain them both back to back. Sonic Impulse will shoot a dual slash of fire at the enemy, and will also destroy the environment at the same time. Yeah! All 3 of these abilities can be comboed on top of one another, and it is very effective, especially if you're able to hit all 3 on the enemy. Now, bow time. So the model is the Moonshadow bow, but the icon tells us that it's the Dynasty bow. So there's a little bit of an inconsistency there, but not a big deal. It's all right. So the bow's abilities are Explosive Shot, Druid's Rain, and Heavy Shot. One thing that I'm just now thinking about with the greatsword, by the way, is that when you hit an enemy with, I believe, any of these 3 abilities, it inflicts the slowing debuff. So there are debuffs in this game, just keep in mind. So here is Explosive Shot. I believe all these abilities will destroy the environment around you whenever you use it. So that was Explosive Shots. Also, when Explosive Shot contacts an enemy, it inflicts the poison effect, as you can see in the description. Be mindful of the movement that all these abilities have. So the next ability that we have is Druid's Rain right here. I might have actually been kind of responsible for naming this ability. Druid's Rain is really cool though, because this ability can be used to get out of a tight spot. And as you saw in my Devas Battlegrounds combat video, which that video will be linked later if you haven't checked it out yet, which you should definitely check it out because the PvP is quite fun. This ability is really cool. Check it out. The last ability is Heavy Shot, and this is one of the bow's best abilities, in my opinion. When it's used, it does a lot of damage. Next, let's talk about both the Dagger and the Ice Staff. Let's talk about the models real quick. For the Dagger, this is the Dynasty Dagger, and this is actually the correct model that we have for it. And the Ice Staff is the Ice Boulder Staff. Honestly, these models are just absolutely incredible, and I've talked about this many times, so I'll just spare you the details on these. Let's start with the Dagger, since I know a lot of you guys are probably going to be using the Dagger. So the Dagger's abilities are Leading Daggers, Spin Dash, which I think was previously called Ripper Spin Dash, if I recall correctly, and Riposte, or Riposte. Here's the first ability, which is Bleeding Daggers. But when it hits an enemy, it inflicts the bleeding debuff, which is actually pretty annoying, not gonna lie. The next ability is the Spin Dash, which is really good for closing the distance. So here it is. Really good. Also inflicts bleeding. You just sit out here like, it's treason then. The last ability that we have for this weapon is Riposte. It basically acts as a counter. So if someone's attacking you, you know, maybe it's a greatsword user and he's about to check you, you can quickly press R. And you have about 4 seconds? That actually sounded like 3 seconds there. And basically, if you take any damage from any source, it immediately stuns the person that dealt the damage to you. So, yeah. By the way, if you're enjoying the video, then make sure to not only like it, but also subscribe for more. Currently, I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers before the year 2024 ends, which, by the way, that year is literally right around the corner at this time. So if you enjoy the video, then make sure to like it and subscribe. All right, let's continue. All right, let's talk about the Ice Staff now. The Ice Staff's abilities are Ice Spike, Ice Snipe, and Ice Barrier. I know, very fitting. Every single ability has the word ice in it. You can't miss it. So the Ice Staff is actually a really good weapon that I used in my time time playing this game. I used the bow, I think, a little bit more than the ice staff, but the ice staff was like a close third. So let's talk about its abilities. So the ice spike ability is going to be really good for countering greatsword users. And the reason why I say that is because if they get kind of close to you or they're pushing on you and you need to use an ability to get them off of you, you can use the ice spike ability, which is this. And it does not only a decent amount of damage, but it also freezes enemies on contact. The ice snipe ability is like the bow's heavy shot ability, if I remember what it's called correctly. And basically, it's just kind of like a big old ability that does a lot of damage when it hits a player. The ice barrier is going to be a really good ability for challenging against greatsword and scythe users as well, by the way. So if you see someone pushing it again, you can just press R, and this happens. So you get about 8 seconds of invincibility, but when the ability wears off or you press R again, it will deactivate it and also do a little bit of a burst of damage. And now for the final 2 weapons that we have and that are available to use inside of Devas Battlegrounds. We have the Fire Staff and my personal favorites, the Scythe. Admittedly, I haven't really played with the Fire Staff too much. So the models that are available in the game right now are, for the Fire Staff, the Dragon Blaze Staff, which is really cool. And for the Scythe, we have the Death Rays Scythe. So starting with the Fire Staff, we have, for its abilities, Fire Meteor, Blazing Circle, and Fire Bullets. So here's the Fire Meteor. You can actually kind of press and hold and select where you want to use it. And it just basically drops like tactical nuke, you know? I kind of had a funny moment in the previous video with this. The second ability is the Blazing Circle, which basically just casts an aura on you, allowing you to kind of do a little bit of extra damage if used in tandem with, let's say, the Greatsword. It lasts for like 5-10 seconds, and it's actually pretty good. And the third ability is Fire Bullets. And finally, here's the Scythe. The Scythe's abilities are Soul Siphon Disc, Vortex Leap, and Reaper's Sanctuary. So the Scythe is going to be a little bit annoying to play against since every single one of the Scythe's abilities, I think including the M1 as well, has Lifesteal. So here are its abilities. The first one is the Soul Siphon Disc, and it's kind of like a projectile-based ability. Remember, it is not an AoE attack, but rather a projectile-based attack. It just stands there and spins for a little bit. It does a lot of damage. The next ability is the Vortex Leap. This one's going to be really good for closing the gap, similar to that of the It's Trees and Then, or the Spin Dash from the Dagger. But basically, you just do this, and it does a lot of damage whenever it actually comes in contact with an enemy. And the final ability is the Reaper's Sanctuary, which basically just gives you a shield right now. By the way, if you haven't checked out the previous Devas Battlegrounds video, then make sure to go watch it by clicking on it right here. You're gonna love it, especially if you're excited for Devas of Creation or Devas Battlegrounds. So go watch it and learn a little bit more about the PvP here. Dismissed!